Hi, and welcome back to Blue's Garden. Today I am getting my grow bags prepared for the coming season. Um, the most important part about your garden is definitely the soil. We don't feed the plants, we feed the soil. We don't, I mean, the only way they get water and nutrients and all of that is actually uptake through the soil. So, good soil is at the base of things. My most important task of the gardening season is going to be getting these grow bags prepped. And then I'm also getting some leeks outside. So planting them outside. Inside, I'm up potting some eggplant and 3 or 4 different types of tomato. And I mean, it's a hefty task for the week. So I don't know, a couple of hundred grow bags. I didn't get through anywhere near all of them, but this is mainly about getting the soil prepped and what I use and how I go about it. So let's start off with prepping grow bags for the Roma tomato and San Marzano. This is basically the plum type tomatoes because that's the first thing I'll be getting outside. Plum type tomatoes. But how I prep most of the grow bags is very similar. Let's take a look. So, for most of my grow bags, it's 1/3 compost, 1/3 last year's soil, and a mix of about 1/3 peat. If there isn't enough, I will add in either some vermiculite or perlite, just something to add some extra drainage and water holding. So perlite and vermiculite are really important. So I've mixed them all together, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, into here, into a barrel. And then what I'm doing is I'm taking the old soil, dumping it in, and mix it up, and then remove any large chunks of whatever I find, if I'm finding some roots or something in there, and then back into the grow bags. Now, each one of these grow bags will also get, depending on what I specifically plant, will get a handful of fertilizer or half a handful, depending on what goes in there. For most of my grow bags, this is the exact same thing. Obviously, different for the blueberries and different for the mushrooms. They have a very different substrate they like to grow in. But for the most part, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Now, since all of these ones that are in this video are all tomato, I'm using a fairly even NPK. This happens to be tomato tone, a granular organic. It's a 346. And for each one of these grow bags, the ones I'm standing in front of, those are 10-gallon grow bags. So they get about a good solid 2/3 of a handful of organic granular tomato tone from Espoma. And I will toss it all in, and then I will mix it in. Toss it all in, mix it in. Toss it all in, mix it in. Toss a good handful, 2/3 of a handful, and then sort of scratch it all in. These are 7-gallon grow bags for Roma tomatoes, and I will do the same over there, that whole process. These are the 10 gallons. And then over on this side is the 7-gallon grow bags, and that's where I usually have my Roma tomato. It's time to do some planting, so I'm going to get some of my leeks outside in their grow bags. So leeks, I'm growing Alta leeks. Alta leeks are the variety I am growing. I have started these seeds way back in February, and I guess you could call it overseeding, or it's a pretty thick seeding in these pots. And I am growing in 25-gallon grow bags. Now, I'm using a big fat dowel, and that just makes the holes that I'm growing in a lot easier. Again, I'm growing in 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 compost, last year's soil / peat. I've already put fertilizer in. So one of the things I do is, because I multi-seed all these leeks, I'll take a chunk out I will take some water and I will dip this big chunk of leeks in, and that makes it easier to separate out the roots. I use the big dowel, make a hole, and it gives me a nice easy spot to drop the roots in for a single leek. Sorry about the video is not aimed there, but you'll see it in a sec as we catch up. So dowel, create a hole, in you go with a single separated out leek seedling. Hole. Take this big tangle of leeks, and I will wash them, rinse them a lot in the water, and that makes it a lot easier to pull them apart. In theory. It really is. It's a lot easier once you do it. And then the leeks, excuse me, leeks into the hole. Hole with the dowel, separate the roots out, rinse, 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 separate the roots out, make a big hole, toss the roots of the leek in, and then in we go. Very easy. And then rinse and repeat however many leeks I've got. Leeks are, as soon as you can basically work the soil, I get them in mid-April to the third week of April, and that is a good thing. You can get some cooler temperatures at night and nice long sunny days. As long as it's not snowing, but with this being New England, you never know. I'm trying to go about, 3 inches, 4 inches apart. Whatever that is, 3 times 2.5, 6, 7, 8, 9-ish centimeters apart. But, you want some distance between them. And then on top of the leeks, on top of the grow bags with the leeks, I will use some garden straw to try and retain the moisture and also to keep down any weed pressure. And time to head back inside with the rains to up-pot eggplant and 3 or 4 different tomatoes. All right, first thing I am up-potting are the Rutgers, which is a decent size slicing tomato. I have the larger pots ready. I will use the back handle of my spoon, and that is helping me pry them out of their little 1-inch seed starting cells. I will put them in there, and then I will sort of tamp down any of the extra soil around so that I get rid of any air pockets. Air will, when the roots hit air, they'll end up stop growing. So you want to do that. Just tamp it down, fill it in. Some of these have 2 or 3, and I will try and snip off everything but the healthiest of the seedlings. Usually the one with the most leaves and the most robust. Label, label, label. Next up is yellow pear. It's sort of a cherry tomato. I will, in the bottom of these 4-inch pots, I usually use my screwdriver handle trick where I make a little hole, and that is a great one for getting the roots in. And then I can fill in around, so now I've got a decent sized hole. And then when I use the spoon, the back, the back of the spoon, I can pry them up and pop them in the hole. And then once they're in the hole, it's easy enough to then add some dirt around it, fill in the soil, so now I have a nicely up-potted little tomato seedling. And then, of course, the number one thing to get is label, label, label. If any of these are doubled up, I will trim out the, or remove in some way, cull out the weaker of them, but I don't believe any of those were. This is my Black Beauty eggplant. I'm going to upplant, of the 3 there, I'm going to upplant 2. I've got a bunch more eggplant already growing, and so there's really no need to do all 3. I have nowhere to put 6 eggplant, and I've got 4 already up potted, and then add these 2 in. So similar with this, you don't want the eggplant seedling to hit air. The roots hitting air is not a great thing. So get it all in, pack it down a little bit, not painfully tight, but, and then label, label. Next up is the Rio Grande, which was new to me last year, tomato. And I had some decent success. So I was pretty happy with them. I will take the 4 best out of the 6-pack, and I will up-pot those. Again, using the spoon, the back of the spoon, and I will fill in around those plugs, tap it down with my fingers, try and get as much air out, trim out any of the weaker ones, just 1 per pot. That's a lace cap hydrangea that is finally greening up. I don't want to make this video go on and on. It's about 10 minutes. I try to keep them between 10 and 15. It has been a very busy week. And oddly enough, some cold days coming up ahead. We're going to dip below the 30s again. Actually, by the time this come up, those 30 degree, well, sorry, we're going to dip below a 40. So those 30 plus degree nights, one more time, hopefully the last one this week. Maybe by the time you watch this, it's over. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this helps you. I really can't stress enough how important your soil is. And for me, anybody growing in a container or a raised bed, a good mix of some compost, some peat, and last year's soil is important. Or some soil, compost, and peat, and then a fertilizer. That's really important. So I hope you take that to heart. If you get nothing else out of this video, the key thing to remember is your soil is all there is to worry about in your garden. Thanks again for watching. I hope that you please like, share, and subscribe. That helps me grow, and that helps you grow. Thank you very much.